Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh. Ooh. Hey, hey, hey. It is Sunday, July 20th, 4:21 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are live. The Love Walk Approach is live. Go ahead and share it with a friend or two or three or 100. Bring the people on in here. Now, listen, you are sharing this if you believe in the message, in the approach of love. And that does not mean that life is always perfect, that there's never anything that uh, kind of shakes us up, or life is going to always be cycles. Life is going to always be life and death, loss and gain, and seasons changing. But when you choose the love walk approach, what you're saying is, this is what I choose to model in my heart. I want to be a certain person in my heart. That's what's pulling at me. Even when I want to just, sit back and revel in all the things that have happened in my past, and I want to just live this pitiful life. There's something that's pulling at me that's saying, no, there's something else for you, and you can go a little bit higher and a little bit deeper. And that's the reason why you feel all that you feel concerning this particular thing. Even when you feel like, I just want to quit, throw in the towel, there is just something different, something in you that is like, nah, I can't do that, because there's something deeper. And that deeper is love that lives on the inside of each and every one of us. Love is the essence of who we are. Love is God. God is love. And that's the reason why it all makes sense somewhere, somehow, to someone. Blessings to those of you who are jumping in. Blessings, Nadia. Thank you for joining us today. As always, being diligent and showing up to gather information for yourself and to apply it to your life. And prayerfully, those who join us today will be able to do the same. You are here because something is tugging, something is pulling, something is saying, hey, I'm trying to get to myself. I'm trying to get home. There's that feeling. You ever been lost? You ever been, wandering around? I don't know if as a kid you've ever been lost, if you've ever uh, been in a situation where you misplaced the person that you were with, or you woke up out of your sleep. I've had this happen where I woke up out of my sleep and I was just all discombobulated, feeling lost, like I'm missing what's happening. And in those moments, everything in you just longs to be home. And oddly enough, even in a situation that was not the best situation back in the day, if you got lost, that's the first thing you're going to try to do, is find your way back home. And so many of us are feeling that lost, feeling like, hey, I'm wandering. I'm trying to figure it out. Where do I fit? Where do I belong? And with that comes uh, the trial and error, or let me not even say trial and error, because I don't believe on this journey that's what that is. I believe that you're walking through this journey and you're having different places to stop along the way, different pit stops, or different people showing up in your world to give you a message of hope, of warning, of get right, right? Because some people show up in your life to be like, snatch it together, get it together right now. So we go through all of these things on our journey, all to find our way to the place that feels comfortable, that feels safe. But here's the truth. When you are looking at it from a love perspective and you're thinking about making your way home, home is where everything is peace and stillness and love. But it's also the place where you are learning, right? But growth feels easier in that place because you don't have to be naked and ashamed. You can be naked and unashamed. You can be everything that you are, working through all of the different things in your life. And love will then send whatever it is that you need. Let me say it like this. Love will then show up as whatever it is that you need when you get to that place. As a matter of fact, love is what's showing up along the way. what's allowing different things in your life so that you can make it back home, and so that you can be in a place where you can grow and learn and expand in a safe and sterile environment. So many of you are looking for that. And if that's what you're looking for, our conversations here on the Love Walk Approach podcast will be to help you in that regard while I'm helping myself. Do you hear me? We are doing this thing together. We're doing this thing together. Today's topic, y'all, I think I'm gonna have a little bit of mixed emotions, while I'm talking today, and it's because I think this particular pillar, which just so happens to be the last pillar in the love walk approach for now, is growing, it's expanding. So of course, more pillars may be added, but right now we are sticking with love walks with that acronym, and so we are on our S today. And in the book, What If God Is All of Us? Considering the Love Walk Approach to Social Justice and Global Healing, which, by the way, is available on Audible. Yes, it is. I did the virtual voice, and so now it is available in audiobook on Amazon, but through Audible. So even if you go to Amazon, you're going to see that option right there. Go ahead and grab the audio book just because you can. All right, grab the audio book for What If God Is All of Us, considering the love walk approach to social justice and global healing. Nevertheless, in that particular book, the number 9 pillar is just simply seek to know all sides. But as I was putting the topic in last week for today, he let me put in a advanced title. Ain't that dope? But seeking to know all sides in order to serve all sides, all perspectives, or seeing all perspective in order to serve all perspectives. Let me go ahead and get it right. In the book, it is seek to know all sides of the story. And today we're talking about seeing all the perspectives so that we can serve all the perspectives. And so this I'm going to start this topic off today. I don't know. I feel like I need to get some breathing out the way and maybe do a little happy jingle. So come on and breathe with me. All right, let's breathe. We're going to breathe in deep. And when we breathe in, we're breathing in love, light, peace, joy, stillness, soundness of mind. We are breathing in everything that is peace, everything that surpasses our understanding. That is what we're breathing in. And we're going to breathe out all anxiety, nerves, everything that could come up right now that tries to hinder this message from going forward. Let's breathe in. Yeah. Go ahead and move those shoulders, move that neck, wiggle your fingers, move your body, do something. I've been spending this week right here trying to find that rhythm, find that joy, find that peace. I'm gonna share with you transparently some things. Will not let you all the way in because it's other people involved, and we just not gonna do that. But I will talk from a very transparent place today. Let's take in another deep breath, will you? If you let that breath all the way out, you should literally feel your body almost melt along with that breath. Peace of God that surpasses all understanding is standing with us, with me, with you. And everything we need to hear today, we're going to hear. Everything we need to hear today, we're going to hear. It's going to cause you to take your blinders off to the biases and judgments and the things that we think about that, man, I wish I would go ahead and get some people in the room today so we can talk real life. All right, let's take in this next deep breath. And when you do, you're going to hold it at the top. You're going to hold it. It is a reminder of even having our circulation and oxygen cut off. So when you breathe out, you are breathing out all that gratitude you were holding in that moment, knowing that you would be able to breathe again on your own. How wonderful is that? How powerful is that? Thank you, oh God, oh great I am, for the ability to breathe. to give myself the signals to breathe again. Come on, let's take that deep breath in, hold it in gratitude. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. Are you grateful today? You're trying to be grateful. Count it as being grateful. Doing your best to shift your thought process in your mind. All right, so let's try it again. Let's go ahead and do it again. Let's go ahead and try to get some people in this room. Let's go ahead and share the broadcast with others. Share the broadcast with others. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to make sure we're sharing on our platforms. So today I want you to go ahead and grab your paper and your pencil. You know, when you come into this room on this podcast, you're going to want to probably have something to take some notes with. And I want y'all to go ahead and grab something to take some notes with as you double duty on your phone, sharing with others. Grab that paper and that pencil. Nadia posted that the book actually ended up being number one. Blessings, Jayana. The book actually ended up being a number one new release or bestseller in the Unitarian Universalism category on Amazon.com. For those of you who did purchase the book, whether it was a Kindle copy, whether it was a hardback or paperback, soon also being on audio, probably within the next day or so. Thank you for doing that. For those of you who have not ordered your copy of the book, let's go ahead and put that QR code up there so that you can go ahead and order your copy. Let's do it. Come on, you guys. Let's come on and raise this vibration by inviting others to join us today. Remember, I think I shared with you all at the beginning that this would be a space where we are building organically, which ultimately means that it's going to be you. It's going to be you that builds the presence in this space. I think this is definitely why people prefer to have brick and mortar buildings when they are doing events and things like that, so that people can show up in the building. But it's okay. It's all good. All right, so you got your paper and your pencil ready so we can have this particular discussion today. Today we are talking about seeing all perspective in order to serve all perspectives. Now, somebody may, first of all, immediately you may want to be like, yeah, I got to know all of the perspectives. Do I have to know all of them? Well, here's the reality. The truth is that we will not ever fully be able as an individual to know all perspectives. We will not be able to, as an individual, be able to know all perspective. And that, of course, is a good thing. We don't want to be overloaded trying to understand everybody's perspective. But what we are talking about today is opening ourselves up and allowing ourselves to be able to know a perspective other than our own. How else will you be transformed? By the renewing of your mind. All right, take that in for a second. Take that in for a second. How will you be able to know? How will you be able to really be transformed in your mind? How? If you are not seeing or thinking or looking at other perspectives other than your own. One of the things that I've learned about this life, especially when you are pursuing a certain mindset, when you are pursuing a certain way of being, when you decide that this is who I want to be, I don't want to be anyone else. I want to walk according to this certain path, and that's what I'm going to do my best to do. Well, when that happens, that becomes your way, your perspective life. And when you have your own way of seeing, well, when we all have our own way of seeing life, but when you have your way of seeing life, but you are not um you have your own way of seeing life, but you are not willing to see another perspective, then that causes an issue in the equilibrium of things, because we are one. That means that everything in this earth is to function a certain type of way for things to for the results to happen. And if I can be real honest with you, life is going to circulate in its own way regardless. We who have all these perspectives, we are the ones that are divided so often. It's the reason why we're arguing, we're fighting, we're at war, because we have our own perspective and we believe that our perspective is golden, is solid, there is no room for growth. Well, if that be the case, then how are we going to properly serve in the way that we're supposed to? How is the lung going to function as a lung, and the heart going to function as a heart, and the brain going to function as a brain, and the feet going to function as feet, and the fingers going to function as fingers, and the tongue function as a tongue, right? Everybody has to get into their proper position in order to function properly, right, in this earth. However, when your perspective is unaware of the fact that there are other perspectives, when you are unaware, your perspective is this is right and this is it. Well, how is it then are you going to serve properly in your capacity if you do not make room for the fact that there is a law? All right. Your perspective as the heart is important. Absolutely. You have to know how to function, how to pump the blood to the proper places. But if something hits into your bloodstream and it blocks your blood from flowing to a particular part of the body, then there is something else that needs to work within you to cause the blood to flow once again in the heart. Somebody may have to come in and assist you and move a blockage out of the way. Yes, but the rest of your body begins to come into full gear when something is happening with a portion of your body. If your heart is doing what it's doing, other parts of your body are going to try to compensate for that until the heart is once again strong enough. But how is that possible? If our perspective is all that we believe that there is. I can function as a heart while still being aware that I'm pumping blood to the rest of the body so that it can function. Yeah, I'm okay with being the lung, but I'm aware that there is the perspective of the liver. I'm aware that there is the perspective of the eye. Listen, the eyes can be deceptive sometimes as well, but they can't lie. Your eyes can't lie. You look into someone's eyes, those who you're able, and out of the heart flows issues of life. So whatever's going on in your heart, your eyes are going to tell the story. Why? Because the heart and the eyes are understanding of each other's perspectives. The eyes, I'll show what it is that you're feeling. The heart, well, eyes, I need you to do something for me. And so, and because I'm understanding of the both perspectives, we can function together. But when we are oblivious to other people's perspectives, or we believe that our perspective is the only one that is correct, then we will end up in error and fights and arguments many of days. When you take the time to get to know somebody, and we talked about empathy as the first pillar, right? Living with vibrant empathy as that first pillar. We talked about inclusion and oneness. We talked about all of these things that help us to paint this picture from the perspective of the fact that we are all literally God incarnate, everything working as God in the earth. God is literally manifested as all things. And so God, love, wants to bring itself back together to function in a way that creates this new heaven, this new earth that everybody's looking forward to at some time or another. So perspective matters. Now, here is where I'm going to be very transparent with you. This is probably one of the toughest parts, because in seeing all perspective, we get to see God as no respecter of persons. And I want you to really walk with me right now and hear what I'm saying. When something happens in our lives and we get angry or we get frustrated or we get mad about what has happened, and of course there's nothing wrong with you feeling the emotions the way that you do, but are your emotions based on what is true, what is just, what is fair? Or are your emotions based on loyalty to a particular person or system or thing? Are your emotions based on that? Let me tell you what I mean. And you probably can already catch me a little bit here. But when you develop rapport relationship with people and you are assigned in their life for a season, or you and they in yours, or however it goes, you tend to, or we tend to gravitate towards that individual, holding on for dear life, almost as if that person has all the answers we'll ever need. All right. And it's easy to do that, or to want to do that, with our parents, with our grandparents, with our siblings, with our children, with our best friends, those who are close to us in any way. It is very easy to want to make them the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything. And I'm speaking from a very real perspective today, because as a person whose role, my job in this earth, is to embrace people for the sake of guiding them, or helping them along the journey to their healing, right, to their wholeness, to seeing themselves through the eyes of love, and to see themselves as a wonderful, valuable treasure within, and all these different things. So I am purpose to work with people. However, I am a spiritual advisor and guide. I am an empath, which means that I'm always feeling everything that's assigned to me. Because, of course, I'm not feeling everything my back would break. But I'm feeling that which is assigned to me, which is a lot, right? So going out into the world, I'm likely to take on, dozens, if not hundreds, of feelings and emotions at once. That means everything around me and everyone around me, that I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the overall energy of regions, of counties, and cities and states and communities, going into different places. My energy can shift at any moment, because I'm feeling everything in that environment that I may need to either pray for, prophesy over, or find the center of it and make it laugh or something. And so I am a people's person, but I am an introvert at the same time, because I have to isolate. I have to isolate. I have to go time without communicating. I have to go time without, and these are all things, y'all, that I've had to really just come to grips with, hold tight to, and understand that I will not be happy. I will be miserable forever if I do not establish this about myself. I told y'all when I was doing the research about bipolar disorder and ADHD and some of the other things, so that I can find out how that is a relation to my actual personality and makeup, right? I was looking at the different things when it came to bipolar disorder, and when it comes to the pendulum swinging between highs and lows, because that's what bipolar is distinctive. A part of bipolar disorder, the distinction is that it is a not just mood swings, right? People say, oh, you so bipolar just because you having a mood swing. It's not just a mood swing, but it is an extreme shift, right, from high to low. And there are some in between, but there's the thing that helps them to decide. One of the parts that helps them to decide is that, right? And so what I've come to realize about myself is when that pendulum swings and I feel like I'm going into an extreme low, a lot of times that is the time for me to go into a cave time, which means that this is your time to isolate. You've already gathered so much. Now you're about to process through all of these things and feelings. Whew, I feel liberated sharing this with y'all, but so that people can really understand. So for someone from the outside looking in, that would feel as if I'm being flaky, I'm being different, I'm acting funny. Oh, all of a sudden now she ain't answering her phone. Oh, she on a sabbatical. Oh, she on a consecration. She can't talk for a month. She can't do this. Oh, she got to be silent, huh? That's just her way of shutting us out. That's just her way of not wanting to be involved. I've heard all these different things in chatter, right? And what I've done over time is, you know, I've bypassed that in order to make sure that I'm still present so that people wouldn't feel abandoned. And there would be people saying, oh, you need to take a break. You need to take some time. You need to take a break. You need to take some time. But before, God began to really deal with me about what love looks like when it comes to taking people to an atmosphere of pressure they can't breathe in, love allowing, even if that means I allow somebody to walk into a ditch, I have to let that happen in love. So when you start to learn more, you gain more. People telling me not to be there for people or don't abandon people, that wasn't going to help. It wasn't going to help for people to tell me to do something the opposite of what I felt like was love, because that's my agenda. Well, I had to learn a couple of things. Number one, I love you just because I can is a choice. In other words, I can allow all of my emotions and my feelings to overtake me, and I can start treating people the way that they treat me. I can allow the hurt, right? That the things that have hurt me to literally consume me so much so that I become the very thing that hurt me. But what was my decision? My decision is to walk after the same mind that was in Christ Joshua and other love walk agents that have graced this earth. And with that being said, it means that, yeah, I just can't choose to do things the way that others do. But when I find myself coming to that point of explosion, I hope y'all are following what I'm saying today. When I find myself at coming close to that point of explosion, when I know that I'm about to be in a season of what many may call crucifixion, or, Job experiences or wilderness experiences or whatever, when I find myself going through those times and seasons, everything about my life is heightened. All right. I'm able to see those who are just walking with me because it sounds good. Every now and again, they hear a message that makes them feel good. Every now and then they get a word from me or a session that makes them feel good, but they don't value me as an individual, as a person. This is just a place where I can go and eat and drink for free or whatever the case might be. Now, am I upset about that? No, I'm not. I'm not upset about that, because I understand in essence that there are those who will always be poor among us. In whatever area or way they are poor, that would be their weak area. There are always going to be those among us, and at some point or another, I may be that weak one. So nope, I do not feel bad about those who come and just eat and drink it up and drink it up. I don't. What I end up feeling some type of way about, however, are the moments when devotion and dedication is something that is being offered, but not being, not being measured, I guess, for sustainability, right? So if you are devoted for a season, it's okay to say I'm devoted for a season. I'll be here as long as I'm able to be here. When I'm not able to be here, I'll let you know. We can communicate about it. But devotion with limited reverence, right, or respect of my perspective, then causes there to be circumstances and issues. Have a little bit of issue with that, sorting through in my cave time. All right. Then there are also family issues. Well, in that time, of course, you have the whole year of stuff that you've been doing together, talking about instructions you've been given, watching things that have gone undone, those things that people could care less about because they worried about their own bottom line, right? We all go through seasons. So what ends up happening, of course, in doing ministry and going out amongst the people and being live and doing sessions and all those things, and those who walk with me, those who like my armor bearers will know what I feel like after just one night of ministry, what my body feels like, the type of spasms or things that start happening in my body. And so I can do stuff like pray and people can pray over me, but a lot of times I'll end up footing that or dealing with that pain until it subsides. All right. So what ends up happening is at a certain point in this life, and of course I'm going to be doing some more research, so y'all going to hear a good bit, but there are other things that work together for our good, and that goes for our planetary alignments, seasons and weather, all type of things that are happening. They all have a place and a purpose. So now here comes a season where I feel the heaviness begin to come on. I feel it so heavy to the point where it feels like I'm taking every beat and every lashing and everything is cracking me. My one of my daughters, my spiritual daughters and nieces, sent me a message the other day, and I was like, "Child, you in the vein." But you taking the cracking and taking the beating. Well, I'm a Cancer. Zodiac sign, my sun sign is a Cancer, which means that I am a crab, which means that I have a shell. So what happens during these seasons, a lot of times my shell becomes my place of refuge. And so I believe wholeheartedly that when it's time for me to go in, that pendulum swing comes and it's time for, me to feel this heaviness and this weight, it is not all mine. It is stuff that has been accumulated over time. It is stuff that has been, given out from those who couldn't deal, right? Jesus didn't, he went through and he healed, and the disciples went through and they healed people, and they didn't take a respite right immediately. They went through, they did some things, they taught, they shared, right? Well, at a time when I start feeling the weight of it all, that's the time when I go into my cave time, which by somebody else may be interpreted as my depression time. The spirit of heaviness, because it is heavy, because it is depressing, because it is emotional. It's hard, it's tough to go into or be into a season where you can feel the weight of everything that you've accumulated. And some people, they have it where they can, release it in one night. And for the most part, I'm able to release the most of it. All right. And as my intercessory team comes together and gets a lot stronger, then they'll be able to track certain things and pray for it before it even happens, right? But it happens. And so instead of me looking through the perspective of, this is just bipolar disorder, I'm just so sad and emotional. No, I begin to look at things from the perspective of my spiritual self. And if God made no mistake with me, then there must be something, a pattern here that I need to be able to peep. Well, Shalonda, every single year, and sometimes in small spurts throughout the year, you feel an extreme heaviness, and it can feel like depression, and you having all these different thoughts and feelings and emotions and dreams, and all these different things are happening. Well, what do you need in that time? I need understanding. I need a system that runs so smoothly that during those times of respite, I ain't got no worries financially. right? I need someone, and my husband tries, and if he knows this, if it's something that he's not able to do, especially if I'm having another pendulum swing and I'm in manic, which are the times when I'm most productive, when I feel like I have a little bit of motivation, because most of the time throughout the year I have none. I don't have any motivation. I just have, I'm living off of inspiration. I think I texted that to Nadia yesterday. I'm living on inspiration from moment to moment and from day to day. But why? Because that's a part of my call. A part of my calling is to be present from moment to moment, from day to day, and to literally be in a position where I am safe from any energies that don't agree, anything that's trying to fight against me in the spirit realm, so that I'm not capable of delivering the messages that I need to. And so I sit in a different position than others. But here's where perspective comes in. Perspective to my family, perspective to my friends, not so much my team no more. I think they're getting it a little bit more than before. They're able to see a little bit clearer to some of the things that are happening in my world. But to my friends and family, those who I serve in business and things like that, from their perspective, it looks like she doesn't want to do this anymore. She's being lazy. She doesn't feel like dealing with us. She doesn't blah, blah, blah. She just doesn't want, all these different thoughts. But the truth of the matter is that if I continue to try to adjust everything about myself to what others need all the time, then when am I going to be able to show up as my authentic self and serve from an authentic place? So what that looks like is from probably the end of March, but from March to March, April, May, June, sometimes from March to June, I may not even be available for one-on-ones. And if I do speaking engagements, they may be few and far in between, and that may totally have to be led from moment to moment. But during those months seems to be when my pendulum swings the hardest. Also, when more things come to try to pile on top of me while I'm already going through the pendulum swing. So I'm in the cave, but there's still things coming, still rocks falling. I'm talking perspective today, so I hope y'all are following where I'm coming from. And I'm sharing personally my perspective of how I see life, so that you'll understand me, but not for the sake of you adjusting yourself to me. For the sake of you understanding that you too have a perspective, and finding your authentic rhythm is the only way that this life is going to be a peace that surpasses all understanding for you. And it's also the only way that you're going to be able to serve effectively when it comes to being out here. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. Nearly 20 years I've been doing the work. Nearly 20 years I've been doing the research to try to figure out how to help my clients and to do things for them that are necessary. But for 20 plus years or more, I've been having to do the same thing for myself. And look at me, 20 something years later, still piecing the pieces together. Perspective. My perspective is my unique expression. How I see life. It helped for me to get a diagnosis of bipolar disorder and ADHD. It helped for me to know that I was a prophet. It helped for me to understand what apostolic meant. That I'm not just here to lead a church. I'm here to lead a movement. I'm here to lead a movement, or to resurrect a message that's age old. I'm here to live and deal with people who are also just like me, who have tried and who are trying to heal and navigate through their seasons and become whole. I'm a person, an individual, one who has a livelihood, one who has to feed family and to pay bills. But I have to be able to show up as I am in order to be effective. I have to be honest and say, hey, yep, I'm probably not going to remember that. So I'm going to need you to do this, 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 and this. It doesn't mean that I'm being arrogant or I think I'm better than anybody else. As a matter of fact, it shows my vulnerabilities and my weaknesses to be able to say, hey, this is not my lane. It's not my area. Can you fill in here? In order for me to make things work, God has assigned love, right? He's showing up as love in my life to show up in all of these different capacities, but not with me pretending. With me being real. And the same thing goes for you. But here is where everything comes together. My perspective is not so to where there is no growth that could be had. Growth had to come for me to say, you know what? I'm no longer going to feel down about myself. I'm no longer going to feel like I'm one big mistake. I'm no longer going to apologize for any part of myself, because these are the pieces of me that I need to show up in this world. And those natural things about me will develop as time goes on. But I am not oblivious. I'm not oblivious to how my lower energy vibration can mess with somebody's high vibration. Me operating in my low energy, not taking responsibility for myself, not taking responsibility to know myself, to see my own perspective, will not give me what I need in order to help to bear your infirmities. Because that's the Great Commission, right? That's the commandment, or the walk of this love walk, is to help bear the burdens of one another. That's the fulfillment of the law of Christ. And so I am learning myself, know thyself, right? To thy own self be true. I'm learning how to do those things better in this season, not so that I can cut everybody else off, but so that I can be of better service as I am. Somebody type that in the chat. I want to be of better service as I am. For years, I've been talking to the team about finding my rhythm and my flow, about them getting to know me so well, to the point where when something is being planned, they don't even have to ask me. And when I walk into a space, I could be like, yep, and I could just sit down and everything just flows, because a team of people who have strength that I don't, their perspective matters as well. But in the vicinity of me, my gift, my calling, their perspective is going to have to adjust, because my perspective then is the goal. All right. If I go in to serve another, and I talk about going to events with my spiritual daughters, or showing up at different places, now my perspective has to fall back a little bit in order to be able to see her perspective and how she wants things to go from her viewpoint. I know my perspective so I can serve effectively. So come March, April, May, or come April, May, June, or whatever those months are, it may only be one of those months. It may be 3. But whenever I have to go into a cave, perspective wise, those who are serving with me or alongside me must then understand this is the perspective. This is what it is. We know the pendulum swings, and we can even focus on it being bipolar disorder, or we can simply say that, hey, this is apostle, this is prophet, this is who she is. There are going to be times where she got to go in and drop it all off, sleep it off, be renewed, be rejuvenated. She going to sleep more than she's awake. I understand that perspective, but I understand that if she doesn't have that time, that she's going to be moving forward with a lack of energy. So she might seem grumpy. I don't ever want to go mess with a bear that's hibernating. Now, when I say messing, y'all, I'm not talking about having occasional phone calls or text messages or whatever I can deal. Unless I say I'm on total consecration and I can't have any calls or texts, I'm still communicating, okay? But I'm doing more sleeping than I am awake. When I do wake up, it's all based off of inspiration, and I'm typing something, or I'm writing down some idea, or I'm getting a prophetic message for somebody or something. Total isolation within. And so when you understand that perspective, then you know how to deal with it. One of the frustrating things about working with me is my lack of concept of time. My lack of concept of time. And I was with my armor bearer, with my administrative assistant armor bearer. Nadia just plays many roles. Was at her home, and we were talking, and we were supposed to be going to meet some family for lunch the day after my birthday. And the statement was, Coach T, you know you ain't got no concept of time. And at first I was like, oh, I do. And the truth is, my concept of time, that perspective, is not the same for me as it is for Nadia, right? It's not the same for other people who work alongside me than it is for me. So my perspective of the lack of concept of time, and when I hear that statement, concept of time, doesn't mean that I don't know that time exists. It doesn't mean that time doesn't serve a purpose at some time, at some place or another. But my rhythm is not aligned with time. My rhythm is aligned with eternity, because past, present, or future, I have to be in position to serve. So if a person is stuck in a past time, I need to be able to revert. And so I'm always in between time. So time can go past for me. I can be working on a project and go from one project to the next project and totally forget about the last one, because I've gone down this whole rabbit hole, and I look up and it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, 7 hours later. And really, I got so zoned in and locked in. So my concept of time is not totally absent, right? But perspective wise, I have to be able to lean in. If it's an event for me and we're going at a certain time and things don't seem to be flowing according to the proper time, then more than likely we need to show up later or show up earlier or show up right in the nick of time for something. There may be something that I didn't need to hear. Prophetically, walking into a building, I don't need to have to walk into a building and hear what the other prophets have said right away, because maybe what I'm coming to do is confirm something. It seems off. It may be that the person that I need to talk to, or the person that I need to reach, the person that I need to talk to, or the person that I need to reach, they won't be walking into the door for 20 minutes. And God knows that if we showed up at a certain time, I would have missed the individual. This is where we begin to understand. We're talking about love, y'all, still, this love walk approach. So I hope y'all are following what I'm saying. Because of the perspective or the personality or the unique existence of me, this is how things flow when you're with me. But I do my absolute best, and she may not believe it, but it's true, that if I'm on somebody else's time or we're going to somebody else's event, and if I'm called to be there for a particular purpose and I have a part to play, it may still end up being off with time. But I try my best when I'm showing up to other people's events or appointments or things like that to make sure that I'm there in a timely manner. That takes a lot of effort for me. It takes a whole lot of effort, because I could be literally laying here getting a download from God, having to message this person because they're about to walk into a store and that store is going to have a situation that's not beneficial for them. So I need to warn them not to go to that store today. Or I need to talk to someone who woke up this morning missing their loved ones really bad. And so they're having an episode where they feel like, the concept of time for me is all encompassing. But because perspective matters, it is not a disrespect, or not my intention to be disrespectful, if my timing does not align with the timing of another. So for somebody, that's irresponsible. For somebody else who understands who I am, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, and it does take learning. Nadia, I know. She be trying, honey. She be trying. And I'm grateful. I really am. I'm grateful for her trying to take the time to get to know and understand it. Because if not, then we're going to spend a lot of time frustrated with each other because perspectives get skewed. Let me see. I think something was tight. Yes, Nadia, we have to be willing to see another's perspective and not just believe ours is the only view. Absolutely. Not for the sake of us, your team, to adjust, but to gain perspective, to be able to navigate along with you in the times so that you can process when needed and show up. Yes, thank you so much for that understanding. So many strategic moves. The timing is not be from man's perspective. But man, let me tell you something. And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. It is difficult to live in this body sometimes. I don't hate her. I don't curse God for making me so. I am grateful for who she is. But the journey to growing into the fullness of myself means facing the truth of the matter. And anybody who knows me does know that if I'm there for you, I try my best to be there for you. I'm gonna try to put my whole self into it. I'm gonna try to be in position when I can. I'm gonna try to make sure that I do my part wholeheartedly. But even in that, I had to learn how to, hey, I can offer the parts of me that's gonna be most beneficial. I can offer my strengths. And for years, y'all, my strengths were not good enough for people because they were not the tangible thing that people were expecting. Even as far as me giving, giving prophetically or spiritual advice or whatever the case might be, it was like, well, I guess I need to package this and sell it to people and promote it and make, and in some cases pressure people to buy the product, but I realized that that's not me. Perspective wise, yes, I want to have a system where it flows seamlessly. Have my gift, my free offer or something like that. Make sure I have a whole bunch of free material on YouTube and things where people can just eat. I love that thought and that idea. And I also need to have a system where, once you have received here, go ahead and pour a little bit more. You want to invest in yourself. If what I'm saying is something that you feel like can carry you over, then by all means invest in it, go further, go deeper. Right? I know that there is a rhythm to it, but if I'm showing up in somebody else's rhythm because I'm so busy trying to, because from my perspective, people have to be pleased in order for me to be well. Now, mind you, that's a part of what I love. I do want people to be pleased and happy and find pleasure in life and all of that. But I begin to push myself past my limitations based on my unique perspective and who I am, because I don't want people to feel the pain that I felt. All right, because I don't want people to feel the pain that I felt when I felt misunderstood, when I felt unsupported, when I felt like people just didn't get it, all that. It felt awful, and I needed and wanted somebody to be present to understand fully. But here's what perspective is. Perspective is not about trying to get someplace and get so solid that there is no room for growth. If my perspective is the only one that I see, then I will not try to adjust myself when I go into somebody else's territory. When I go into somebody else's territory, unless I'm going into for an assignment on purpose to help to reveal something or whatever, if it's somebody else's system, somebody else's program, somebody else's event, somebody else's whatever, I want to be able to give myself 100% to it. But can I be real from my perspective and say that, I really, really want to do that for you, but I know my mind and how it works. I know my rhythm. I know that I get caught up because my first job is to be spiritual advisor. My first job is to be prophet. My first job is to be apostle. My first job is to do that. Now, if I can coach you along the way, if you want some extra help as to how to think this way or to live this way or to be this way, then I can do that for you. But my first job is to be present in the spirit realm to do my work, which means that, yep, I might get up at 4 something in the morning, go back to sleep at 8, wake up, be up from 1 to 2, go back to sleep for a while. I may be in prayer and consecration all day. I may, you know what I mean? It may be the day that I'm supposed to be getting filled up. So now I'm going to the sources that are there to pour into my life. It may be a day where I'm just focusing on completing my metaphysical degree. Right. And that takes time. Everybody knows it's at my own pace because that's the way I function. I may be taking a whole nother certification program today. I may be trying to create a program and everything totally goes blank because God wants me to think of or do something else. That may be the case. My life is random. I'm random and I'm okay with me. The things that I want to change, I'm going to do my best to change. As much as me and my husband keep trying to start this whole no meat, no sugar thing all over again, baby, it is difficult. Okay. But because I want it to change, now I need to see a different perspective. And what perspective is that? I need to start confessing something different. I need to get my heart in alignment with what I say. I say I want to live in the physical and I'm not ready to die yet. So if that be the case, then what is going to align? What perspective do you need, Shalonda, in order for that to align? Well, now, according to my faith, I should be able to eat whatever I want to and not be affected. But what am I seeing? This thing affects my body. This is the way my body is made up. This is my unique expression. How does my body align with these things that I'm taking in order for me to change it? My heart has to change concerning it. I cannot be upset about it. I can't be mad because I have to give it up. I can't be. So my mind has to shift. I have to now be conformed. I mean, not be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of my mind. Perspective is everything. Here's another portion of that. I told y'all I was going to be real transparent today. So family wise, there comes a point where, we have this concept of family, of blood relation, and we have this perspective of these loyalties that we created, and these words that we speak to people in time of desperation. Most of the time, we are making agreements with people based on what we need from them and what they need from us. That's kind of how life flows. Everybody is making deals and writing out contracts and shaking on it. Some things are just these, forever, I'm in it forever type of conversations. And you want to believe those things. People want to believe it when you say it. People want to believe it when you give these, these words and you make these covenants with people. People want to believe you. I know every time I go to the hospital, they want to believe that I'm going to make sure that I pay that debt off. The school loans I have, they want to believe that I'm going to pay those debts. Any credit cards, anything, any debts that I have, they want me to pay it back because I made an agreement. And truth be told, y'all know that I pray that God gives me the resources to pay everything I owe. If some of them get canceled, I ain't gonna be mad, but it ain't my prayer because they are servants worthy of their hire too. Nevertheless, when you come into a contract or an agreement with someone, they want you to be able to keep that. And sometimes we make commitments to things and to people because we've had somebody abandon us in an area. And instead of us actually sitting with it and seeing ourselves, we continue to make these agreements in order to try to fit. So what am I saying? We've made commitments with people for forevers that were made because you were in a deficit, they were in a deficit, and you want to do what you can. Family is almost this unconscious commitment that we make, right? Blood is thicker than water type statements. We're going to always look out for ours. But some of us did that without understanding that there was somebody in that group of people who made that agreement because they needed something for themselves and they were oblivious to what everybody else needed. And so they told you and they had you make a commitment to something that you did not feel good about within yourself. You didn't feel steady about it. You knew that there was a truth that needed to be spoken or a truth that needed to be seen, and you felt it deep within yourself. But because of this loyalty agreement that you made, I guess this is why the scriptures tell us not to, don't swear about nothing. Don't make no agreements that your yes be yes, your no be no. Because we get caught up into these commitments without knowing the whole story. You can't even see the whole staircase, but you made these commitments. And so in our families, a lot of times we make these silent commitments. And this right here is about to open everybody up. So I hope you're ready to really hear what I'm saying. You make commitments without evaluating your perspective and the perspective at large. And when you are walking a love walk, when you're agreeing to have this mind being you, which was also in Christ Joshua, there are times, and the scriptures tell us this, where the very enemy of you will be in your house. Different things will happen. Separation between mother and daughter, father and sons. Different things will happen because your perspectives will now be different. And the arguments and the misunderstandings and all those things will come. But most of the time, that is so that you can go in your direction down your path and they can go in their direction down their path. There was a moment where Jesus said, and they were coming to tell him, hey, your mother and your brothers are here. And they said that, I'm sure, because they felt like based on what they have done in their communities, that was something for him to flinch at, or to adjust himself to. Oh, my mother and my brothers are here, so let me adjust myself and what I'm doing in order to fit my mother and my brother. But Jesus says, my mother and my brothers are those who do the will of the Father. This is such a difficult, this is difficult for me to really talk about right now, because I'm in the thick of those kind of decisions. Where do I stick to the guns, stick to my heart's truth that fairness and justice and those things matter? What do you do? Now, we're talking about seeing all perspectives so that we can serve all perspectives. In a situation where your family is involved, in a situation where those close to you are involved, you stand there and you try to figure out, which way do I go? Which way did he go? Which way did he go? Which way do I go? What do I do? Because whatever decision I make right now, somebody's going to be angry with me. Somebody's going to be mad. Somebody's going to feel hurt. Somebody's going to wish that I never lived. Somebody's going to want me, to go through it. Somebody's going to be angry no matter what decision I make. When you're in a situation such as this, and you have chosen to walk according to this walk of love, can I be honest with y'all? It's going to hurt y'all feelings just as much as it's going to hurt theirs. But the side of justice or righteousness, meaning fairness, I'm not going to make a decision that's going to cause another person to hurt just to protect that which I deem to be family. And I'm talking real raw right now, because this is one of those hard, I think this has made this particular season of my life one of the most toughest. Because everybody has an opinion. And everybody has a perspective. But what perspective is going to serve all perspectives? What perspective is going to serve all perspectives? And y'all already know, love is the answer to every question. It's the solution to every problem. And it's the healer of all wounds. If I do not make a love decision, if I do not make a decision to look at it with unbiased eyes, and this goes for any decision that you have to make, husbands and wives, parents, children, grandparents, aunties, uncles, besties. Besties at this point is family. You know what I'm saying? You got everybody, sisters and brothers. I'm talking about whoever you consider to be family. And I've had it said to me a few times. I got people who feel like, hey, if you're going to be neutral in a situation, that you can't be in my life. Well, then I got to be able to be honest enough. Now we talking perspective again. I got to be honest enough with them at this point to say, I understand your position, but what you're asking me now to do is to not live according to the principle that I've dedicated my life to. What you're asking me to do is to not see through the eyes of love, not through clarity, because we have now been taught how to group up, to click up, to link up. I am for all people. I am for all people, even when I do not understand. Even when, listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm going to go ahead and give you a real perspective of me. And my children totally hate it, and those who are my spiritual children maybe hate it too. Well, not maybe, but I've heard them pretty much verbalize that they totally dislike it. But if you come to me to talk to me for counsel, if you come to me to talk to me about something, then my purpose in this life, the same way I have to do with myself, is to ask what my heart is looking like. What that heart look like? What is it in your heart, Shalonda, that's causing this perspective to be what it is? And if you don't change this perspective, is it going to be beneficial for you and all involved? If you do change this perspective, is it going to be beneficial for you and all involved? And so, yes, it takes practice and it takes a lot of heart, Nadia, to be able to make a decision in justice and to walk according to love. But this is what Christ Joshua was talking about. This is what the one who must endure to the end, the one who's probably going to be the biggest outcast, because I got to share a truth with you that you may not want to hear me say. So if I'm talking to my kids, if I'm talking to my mom, if I'm talking to my husband, if I'm talking to whoever, I'm pretty much going to always give opposite perspectives, because most of the time we only see from our own. When I'm going through scenarios in my mind, I have to look at every perspective. The ones that make me mad, the ones that make me cry, the ones that make me feel like, oh my God, I was wrong. Okay, let me figure out how I can fix this. You got to look at every single perspective. Because the truth is, if I make this decision based on my emotions, then I'm going to be in the wrong. I'm gonna use a scenario from one of my spiritual daughters. And this is not to do no triggers or anything, but it just might. So I'm going to say trigger alert. When her brother was murdered, when he was murdered, the initial feelings and emotions were anger and rage and, oh my God, what done happened and what can I do to make it right? Right? That's the first instinct. Why did this happen? What's going on? Because we are seeing from the perspective of our loved one, and we just want there to be some justice. But can I be honest with y'all today? We don't always know whether we want justice or not, because we think justice is going to be one thing, and in actuality, justice is a whole different thing. So when you stand in the place of biases and favoritism and loyalties, then you put yourself in a position to not necessarily know what's about to show up in your life. When you are a love walker, you are always praying that justice will be served. Why? Because you don't want to see anybody hurt. Love does no ill to its neighbor. And so therefore, I'm not going to be the one that's going to tell you that I'm going to right your wrong for you. But what I will say to you is, even in your wrong, I still love you the same. Even in that, I still love you the same. So I'm going to try to figure out how I can support you in that. But for me to make it seem like you are in the right when you are actually the one that's causing issues or problems for another individual because you need to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, it would be totally unfair for me to do so. Perspective. We leap sometimes without knowing the truth. Me and my husband are watching The Shy. I don't know if y'all, kind of watch TV series or not, but we watching The Shy. And y'all know I look at everything from perspectives. Everything, every movie, every show, everything. So watching The Shy, of course, I'm looking at every perspective. And I think I do that because it helps me in my heart to see multiple, viewpoints so that I can be as gentle or as compassionate as I can be, or confront something that I may need to. So nevertheless, on this show, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of murder, there's a lot of chaos, because this is the life that they're living. This is true life for some people. But there's a character on there whose son got murdered, and she is just on this rampage. She's not waiting to see what the facts are. She's not waiting to see who really did it. She's not waiting. She's getting any and everybody. If somebody give her a tip that it could be them, she going out there to grab it. She's going out there to do something. Well, of course, it's a TV show, but of course, this stuff happens in real life, so I'm going to address it. But when that happens, now other mothers are losing their children. And I mean, of course, they may have done some other things that they didn't get found out about. And, what we sow, we reap type of situation. It could be all that karmic energy and whatever, right? But from her perspective, she's seeing that my son was taken. So now I don't care if somebody else's son is taken too. Is that justice? Is it fairness in the way that we're from an individual perspective? Now, I can't say whether the other people, whether they had it coming or not. But in that particular situation, judging from a perspective of a person or individual unique expression, should you go on a rampage and take out any and everybody based on a tip? No. From an individual perspective, are you living based on justice or uprightness? No. But can I tell you that I understand? I understand how that rage can build up in her so much so that she really can't see nothing but red. I can understand how she's probably already been through so much in her life, as she's lost so many other people to the lifestyle because she was raised up in the lifestyle. She didn't know anything else other than the lifestyle. And so now this thing is happening. Her instinct is going to go with what she knows. This is my son. I got to avenge my son because somebody else ain't going to do it. And so she's going off of a whim based on her emotions. So what would I do in a situation like that? Would I turn my back on her because she's making reckless decisions? No. But I can't pretend with her like her making these reckless decisions is the best thing to do. Is this beneficial for you? Is it beneficial for others? So when you are seeing all perspective, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have emotions and feelings and you're not going to react and want to respond a certain type of way. But if I make that decision, if I side with the side of justice and fairness and truth, can you settle with the fact that there are going to be those in your life who are not going to be happy with you? When you are walking this love walk, you got to ask yourself a lot of questions. Even me saying this to y'all right now, my heart is just as loyal because I love people. But it would be nice in some people's eyes for me to only be loyal to one person, loyal to them, loyal to this situation and that situation alone. But can I be honest and say that then that would make me a hypocrite, teaching what I'm teaching while at the same time showing favoritism to anybody? Y'all, we've been in churches and organizations and schools where favoritism was the order of the day. Because you my mama, because you my sister. Now, of course, my mama might get a whole lot of favoritism because she earned it at this point. But because you're this to me, because you're that to me, because you're this to me, I'm going to treat you better than I treat another. I'm going to hide your misdeeds. I'm going to hide what you have done. I'm going to put that behind my back. Now, will I cover you? Cover you means that I'm not here to expose all your business. I will help you to get to where you need to and see if you need to expose what you've done. But I'll cover, I'll be there. I'll pray for you. I'll love on you. I'll hug you. I'll still be in your presence. But for me to make you think that it's okay for you to harm another person to get what you desire, for me to make you think, and I don't care who it is. And that's a hard, that when I tell y'all that's a statement to make, it's a statement to make. But here's that thing again. Are you going to live as your true authentic self, following the path that you have chosen to follow? Are you going to commit yourself to that which is true to self so that you can be living by faith? Or are you going to keep adjusting yourself so that, listen, you're supposed to be the heart. You trying to adjust yourself so much so you can look like the lung. You can try to look like the lung all you want to, but is your capacity lung capacity, or do you have a different assignment? I don't want to look like anything other than who I am. I don't want to be anything other than who I am. So that means I have to come to grips with the fact that there are just going to be those in my world who may not want to deal with me. Oh, I know, Jay. I know. That's why I didn't talk much about it, but I get it. And I get the reason why we can feel that way. Thank you, Nadia, for being a Love Walk Vision partner. Thank you so much for what you have done today. I'm appreciative. We are appreciative. Thank you for being one of our sponsors and partners today. That phrase, commitments without perspective, feels like a poetic caution. It might be almost like a warning about acting with conviction, but lacking vision for someone. Yes. And I mean, as parents, we can definitely talk about it as parents. Because we make all of the decisions and we make it, feeling like we're protecting our kids. We want to protect our kids. We want to do what is right by them to the best of our ability. You know what I mean? You do with it what you're working with. And I know my kids grew up with me not understanding myself whatsoever. So me trying to fit in time and space to have joyful days with them when most of my days were in the dark. But we do what we feel like is best to protect our kids. But is that the fair way? Is that the just way? So this is when I learned when God was teaching me about how love allows, right? Love allows. And so I understand now how some of those the old school parents back in the day said, hey, okay, so you think you running things? you think you can tell me what to do in my house? You pay bills in here? And even if you did pay bills in here, do you pay the majority of the bills in here? Is this my home? So since you can't abide by what I'm saying to you, then that means you need to go ahead and learn life the hard way. And so they would tell their kids, since you think you grown now, go ahead and be grown. And they would tell them to leave. And at some point, when when your heart is all shattered because you feel like, oh my God, I wasn't supported in this way. People, they put me out because of this, and they put me out for little stuff. And we could call it little things if we want to. We can say that people had no right to tell us to leave or put us out. But from their perspective, you weren't cooperative. From their perspective, you were defiant. From their perspective, you weren't trying to align with what their piece was doing. So they had to let you know, okay, I love you, but what's not going to happen in here is you thinking that you can control my narrative. What's not going to happen. See, and especially with children and parents, and, our children are not our forever person. Like they may be when they growing up and we doing all this stuff and we loving on them and we trying to make sure that they have the light that they need, however we can, but they're not our forever person. They were intended to be our spouses. They were intended to be our boyfriends and girlfriends. So their lives are going to take on a whole different look. We are raising them to become who they are supposed to be, so that when they go out there, they can be who they need to be to the other people in their life. That's the first place where they're supposed to learn respect. First place where they learn boundaries. First place where they learn, nope, you're not getting away with that because you were wrong for doing that. So now you got to deal with the consequences of those actions. It's the first place where they're supposed to learn it. Does that mean that they're never going to go astray or live life and learn on their own? Absolutely not. They're going to. They're still going to go through trial and error and live to learn. But when we are raising them, do we teach them justice? Or do we teach them that, hey, whatever you do, no matter whether it's right or wrong, I'm going to rescue you from it. And so therefore, you're not going to have any type of understanding of what it means to be fair and to be just. Because again, we make commitments to our families and friends. But if I can say it from this perspective, if we were in church right now and somebody was preaching to you, they would tell you, hey, you need to be careful of that hissing in your ear. It could be coming from the one standing right next to you. And that's not to make people scared to live, because listen, I'm working on it. I'm working on dropping all of my defenses right now. Now my defenses are pretty high. During my cave time, during my defenses are super high. Everywhere I look, I'm trying to figure out, where am I standing? Who's standing with me? Is it okay? Is it not okay? What's happening? But the opposite of love is fear. And so I'm trying my best to let all fear relax. Because love is all giving. It gives what it needs when it needs to give it. And that includes consequences, whether good or bad. That includes putting people face to face and saying, this is what it is. Yeah. So I know this is one of them topics today that doesn't necessarily make people feel great, but it's everything about what we're going to teach here and what we're going to talk about on the Love Walk approach is going to be all introspection. So if that's too much, if you feel like it's too heavy, I understand. But we're doing introspection first so that we can show up as our full, authentic self in this earth, so that we can give strength to those that have their weaknesses. And we are wise enough to understand that when we have our own weaknesses, that there are those who love is showing up as to help with our perspective too. Our perspectives will change over time. However we perceive life, if we perceive life to be something we can conquer, something that we get to navigate because it's neutral, whatever way we lean, it's the way life is going to go. However you perceive it, that's how you're going to move. If you perceive life as just one big old awful mess and it's never going to be good enough and there's never going to be a good answer for this, that, the other, I go through it. When I'm in the cave, I go through every scenario there is. It's like I can feel and see and hear every perspective of every person. Some people are happy that they got another opportunity to try again. Some people feel like, you know what, I've tried again so many times that I don't want to ever try again. I'm tired. Some people feel like, you know what, just a little bit further, another step. because I've made it this far, so I can make it a little bit further. Everybody has their perception of what life is, thus your perspective is developed. So when you begin to fill yourself with love and conversation and compassion and charity and empathy, when you begin to intentionally change your heart, some of us are going to change our hearts because we don't want to resemble other people, certain people in our lives. We're going to do this thing just because we don't want to look like them. We're going to do this work because we don't want to resemble the pain that we've come from. But in everything that we're doing, justice still matters. I'm going to go a step further. The world that we live in right now, everybody is the victim. So everybody is devising plans to strike back. And we think that that's the solution. But until we all get into ourselves and realize, hey, what area are you playing the victim? What area are you trying to get people to amen and high five you, even though you know that what you did and what you said and how you handled that was unfair? What do you do when you have to stand up before something and make people face those consequences for their actions? It's emotional. It's hard because you're divided. You feel like, you know what, I got to lean this way because this is the acceptable thing to do. See, if I lean this way, then this makes mostly everybody happy and satisfied. But over here on this side, this person suffers. If you're being true to yourself in your heart, you have to evaluate that. Because here's the truth. There may be a day when you are on the side that has to be judged. And you know that you didn't do something, you didn't say something, that didn't happen, it didn't happen that way. And you're looking at the individual on the other side and they are so believable and they are convincing everybody else with their emotions and with their pains and with their traumas and with their victim mentalities. And all you can do is stand there. And I can only imagine Christ Joshua just standing there, right? Like, they know I didn't do that. But in their minds, he violated our laws. So it's justified. This is another thing that helps people to understand that Christ Jesus, he wasn't there to start a new religion. He was there to free people from a certain mindset, right? He was the one that they considered to be rebellious because he stood for something. When he was with the woman who got caught in adultery, and he told them, you who was without sin cast the first stone, that was justice. You know, well, she did get caught in the act. She did, but someone else was there too. And so since y'all all have sinned and fallen short, let her go. That's justice. It spoke, forgave, and move on. It is not easy to make the decision to stand on the side of right. I am Black power, proud of my African heritage, want to do more research and find out all my parts. I still got that DNA thing on Amazon. I think I'm going to get it as soon as possible. But I want to know all my different perspectives, all of the different things that are crying out for my attention to say, hey, but this is how we felt. This is why we felt how we felt. And another group is going to be like, no, this is how we felt, why we felt how we felt. And another group is going to be the same. Inside of all of us, with all these different DNAs, are a bunch of victim stories. Did these things happen? Yep. But when you stand on this side, what you're saying is, I want to be a solution. And I know I can't be a solution if I'm pretending and lying with people. Then that makes them feel like they can do these things to hurt others, and it doesn't matter. And here's the other part. When something happens to them, we still angry. We mad, like the world has served us some type of injustice. Being still in the face of circumstances like that can be the hardest thing that you've ever had to do. But what's fair and what's just? And when are the times that God will cover you even in? Abraham and Sarah, and I think maybe Isaac and Rebecca did the same, but going into a certain town, they would tell the people, this is my sister. not my wife. They told the lie because they felt like that was the best way to keep her protected or keep themselves protected. Because if a very fair woman came into town, the kings and the people, they could do whatever they want. And so in order for them not to kill him to take her, they would say, this is my sister. So therefore the king could take her anyway. And then God would come in and say, don't touch her. You know, that's Abraham's wife or whatever. But sometimes we do things because we feel like it's the best way to protect ourselves and to protect our loved ones. Even to the point where you may be the one that people have everything to say and everything to do, and you are the bad one, and you are the corrupt one, and you are the one that needs to be punished, and you are the one that needs to be whatever. There's a possibility that people will look at you that way. I am giving this to you real raw and real uncut because it's a decision, this journey. It really is, because I can. But will the people in your life fully understand it? No. Will they understand your decision to not stand with them in something that could harm others? But find that median of how you can still be loving towards them if they allow it. But they have to allow it. You can't make yourself something in someone's life that they don't want you to be. And the hard part is watching them fall into some pits, bump into some walls. Because guess what? The same thing had to happen to us in order for us to come into the fullness of our maturity as well. So y'all go ahead and leave a comment real quick. Tell me your takeaways. One of the biggest well dang moments. Nadia, you kind of been already posting yours, but go ahead and type in your biggest well dang moment. Eesh, you're tired. Before we go from these episodes, I'm going to, and this is a part of me just really allowing my whole self to be used. We are here for this podcast, but I want to share some prophetic insight for those of you who may need it for this upcoming week. If you need your own personal spiritual insight session one-on-one, you may want to discuss your present. You may want to discuss your future. You may want to discuss how to get past some past traumas. You may want to just kind of foresee some things so you can start preparing. Some of you have had birthdays recently, and so now you've embarked on a new year. So we could talk about that, the number, the year that you are, and what it could be leading you into. If you are in need of that, you can go over to our coffee sites and sign up for your personal one-on-one session. If you have not already ordered your copy of either book, What If God Is All of Us? Considering the Love Walk Approach to Social Justice and Global Healing, or Love as the Master Healer, A Spiritualistic Journey to Wholeness. Either one of those, they're available on Amazon.com right now. So you can go ahead and grab yours. Let's see these comments and go back and read. Seeing a perspective for justice takes heart. So our hearts have to be postured correctly. What the heart look like? Yeah, Nadia, it's something. A heart posture for justice might look like this: tender but bold, able to weep with those who suffer, but also roar for what's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Centered in truth, anchored in spiritual clarity, not swayed by trends or ego, open yet discerning, willing to listen deeply, but wise enough not to be manipulated. Ooh, my. Rested, not restless, draws strength from divine peace, not chaos or retaliation. Yeah, as you grow, do the work on yourself. Your perspective will definitely change. I know it does. It changes. Victim playing, mindset shifting. It's so true. So y'all, let me tell y'all, I want to tell y'all this truth, and here's prophetic insight for where you're going. Hey Taisha and Jayana and Nadia, thank y'all for jumping on today. Hopefully y'all share this with multiple people. But this is a real conversation to have. You're going to be faced with decisions that you have to make, and you have to be able to discern between whether this decision is the best for this circumstance or not. And you can't beat yourself up about decisions. Once they're made, living in regret will not change them. Having to sort through life stuff, uh, my team will understand this as well. Having multiple personalities of people, different perspectives, different convictions, when you're in the middle of all of it, can definitely feel like chaos, can definitely feel like, oh my God, what am I doing here? But I'm not going to say one of my gifts, and maybe it is one of my gifts to be mediator, to be the mediator, or to stand in a place of neutrality or righteous judgment, is what some people may call it. Does not make you the favorite. You may be people's favorite in one regard, but in that regard, you're probably not going to be their favorite. But doing that with love and kindness still takes practice and precision. Being able to be that central and being able to help everybody see everybody's perspective. Will that mean everybody will get it? No. Sometimes that means people are just going to have to walk away because they don't get it, and they're entitled. They can walk away if they choose, go find something that works better for them. But in any dynamic where there are a lot of people involved, perspective and righteousness, right standing, justice, love in your heart is going to always say, and let me say this. I know that people will say, well, these certain people you just got to stand by no matter what. Even for my spouse, even for my children, even for my mom, me loving them and standing by them and standing by their side and not, wavering, does not mean that I'm supposed to right their wrong for them. We don't grow if it's not brought to our attention in our face. Now, I'm not talking about stuff that their own preference is their life. They can do whatever they want to do to themselves. You can want something good for people. You can say, oh, you should stop smoking, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't eat that much, you shouldn't do this. Those are their personal convictions. That's their business. You're not here to control their life. But when it comes to a situation where multiple people are involved, and one of them just so happens to be your spouse, one of them just so happens to be your child, one of them just so happens to be your parent, one of them just so happens to be your ride or die, the friend that you had since you were young, and y'all just made this commitment to each other, and no matter what, y'all gonna have each other's back. But we say these things, and innately we commit ourselves to lying for others, lying for ourselves in order to make our way. But not the hard part, but the interesting thing is when you find out that somebody has lied to and manipulated you for the sake of their loyalty to someone else, then all of a sudden all hell has broke loose and your whole life is in shambles. Do unto others as we would have them do unto us. Do unto others as we would have them do unto us. There are people who I am still friends with right now today. I am their friend, but they are not mine. Because my assignment to them as a friend doesn't change because they don't like something about me or something that I'm teaching or something that I'm doing. If they need an embrace and I can give it, I'm still going to do so. If they're hungry and I can feed them, I'm still going to do so. If they're in a bind and I can help it, I'm still going to help. Because I come to the understanding that just because people are not who I am doesn't mean that I shouldn't continue to still be who I am. And yes, there are times when I want to wreak havoc, where I want to shut some things down, where my 0 to 100 wants to turn on. And again, it's not easy to get me down once I'm at 100. That's why most people don't know me as that person. Not because I'm being phony, but because I choose to not allow it to control me. If you are really taking into consideration what this message is saying today, first and foremost, it ain't all about you. It ain't all about you. Even in finding your authentic self and living in your true identity as who God made you to be, this is your governing power. This is your governing authority. If you yield to the law of love, it is your governor, that it is your God, that you understand that God is all of that, then your decisions will be different when it comes to people. And that boldness, there's a boldness that has to rise up within us, the apprehension and the fear and the nervousness and the anxiousness of standing up to what seems like something that is bigger than you, that is badder than you, bolder than you, stronger than you, sometimes will make us shrink back. The idea that my name could be dragged all across this globe, if that causes me to change my posture in my heart from love to not caring to fear, all that, then am I really ready to walk this walk out? So I don't know how my paperwork gonna have to look, when we draft up these contracts and stuff. But they will have to know. They will have to know and understand that if there's something you want to talk to me about and you don't want to hear different perspectives on it, probably not the person that you want to do the work. But it's not about us. It's about the greater whole. We just so happen to be wonderful, unique expressions in this greater whole. And who you become, who you show up as, is basically going to be who you lean into. The possibilities are there. That's what makes it faith. But when you decide that, yeah, I want to treat people the way I want to be treated, which means that if I need fair judgment, if my children need fair judgment, if my husband needs fair judgment, if my mama needs fair judgment, I want other people to give them that same liberty to be judged fairly. And if they've done something and there are consequences that need to happen, I got to gear my heart up so that I can be there for them and be present even during the time of their consequence, but not making it seem like they didn't do what they did, but supporting them, letting them know that they are still loved despite whatever mistakes they may have made. Finding that median is important. My big well dang moment. Realizing my growth in seeing from all perspectives rather than just mine. It's definitely helped me to be able to get through some things and heal. Absolutely. Amen, Jill. So here's the prophetic message for today. I know the ones, and I don't know if Nadia had posted these ones early. I saw #1, #1, #1, but the ones in this particular moment, you got the 3 ones, which means these are 3 separate parts of yourself. And today we're talking, of course, about our love walk and talking about our unique expression. And we're talking about how being your unique expression and learning to or choosing to walk after the spirit and not after the ego or the flesh is a big decision and commitment to make, right? It means that every day you're trying to decide how you can best align with the truth of what you are following. When I do this next Spirit Holistic group coaching journey, and I have to ask people in the beginning, what do you believe? Do you know what you believe? We got to start with that, because if you do not know what you truly believe, then none of this is going to matter. It's going to just be a bunch of chaos and confusion. Sometimes you're able to walk through it and find out what you believe, and we have to play that by ear. But that first question, what do you believe? I believe that love is the ultimate law. I believe that God is love, and that's how my life is to be governed. I believe that that's what Christ Joshua was trying to show us and teach us, while still trying to talk in mysteries, so that those around him that were already trying to crucify him would not fully be able to comprehend what he was saying. He talked to the disciples in code, in parables, even sometimes. Well, he talked in parables to the people, but he talked to his disciples in codes, but he would reveal what those codes meant. And I and the Father are one was one of those revelations, that we are not just him, but we are all God incarnate. We are all love incarnate. That's what I believe. So therefore, the way I act, the way I treat people should align with that. When I'm angry, when I'm upset, when I'm processing, I need to be able to find my places where I can go off, snap for a minute, but then I need to go back to checking my heart, putting it back in alignment. That's because that's what I chose. When you know what you've chosen, when you know what governs your heart, these decisions may still feel tough, but they will still be what you lean towards. The one, and the one, which of course equals the number 3, all of these parts of you, parts that you needed to deny so that your life is salvaged, so that you are living in truth and spirit for your own life, means that a lot of the things that we think with our minds, our egos, what we've learned over time, uh, a lot of things that our soul experiences is because of what we've experienced in our flesh and our ego. Our ego was bruised, so all of a sudden now we mad, we hard. But the spirit, choosing to walk according to the spirit and not after the flesh, is a big decision. When you make that decision, you are then saying that I want to bring all my 3 parts, these 3 parts together. There may be more depending on who you're talking to, but we're talking in 3s. Your soul, your unique expression, that is your heart, your mind, your imagination, your hope, all your experiences. But you get to decide whether or not you're going to lean towards the spiritual things or whether you're going to just lean into your fleshly things that are going to cause more harm than good. When you make that decision, this 111, when you make the decision, everything that happens in your life is going to be to build you towards that. And I hope y'all hearing me right now. If you make a decision, F it, I care less, I ain't trying to be good, I don't care, then you are taking to leaning towards the side of your ego, your flesh. It feels better in moments, but it makes you feel worse over time. It's the truth. You begin to feel like you're in pure hell after a while because you've been sowing a bunch of seed of anger, seed of resentment, seed of mistrust, seed of, me and mine and not yours, seeds of injustice, seeds of lies, and all those things in order to do whatever by any means necessary for you and yours and for your life. That's what they call wicked or evil. In other words, you're living from a place of the lack of love, the lack of light. If that's the decision that you make, then what you're saying is, I agree to whatever comes with that. I agree to the backlash. I agree to the karmic energy that's going to come back. What goes around comes around. I agree to all that. Yep, I'm going to treat people how they treat me. So that means I don't care how my descendants are being treated. I don't care what seed am I sowing. I don't care. And I'm not saying that to make you feel manipulated into making a choice today. I'm saying it so that you can understand the truth of the choice. When you lean towards spirit and truth, that don't mean life gonna be peachy clean. It means that every experience that you have is going to cause you to go into your heart and check yourself, so that you can become the fullness of this and you can live in truth and happiness and peace and all that. But you're gonna journey through. The difference between the two is the seed that you are sowing along the way. So if you've been seeing the 111, if that's been coming up with you at all, then you might want to sow it as a seed, or you may want to choose another creative way to use that 111 to serve your purpose, serve the purpose of the organization. But you seeing that because God is saying this is the time. The reason why the pressure feels so hard and so strong is because I'm pulling you into alignment because you asked for it. But you're not fully understanding everything that's happening. It feels like some of it is so heavy and so hard that, man, this can't possibly be a life lesson. But when you decide to go within yourself, remembering where your kingdom of God resides, and you go within yourself and you start not weighing out everything that other people are doing wrong to you, again, that's victim mentality, but looking at yourself and why you're responding to the situations, it isn't in alignment with how you want your life to go. Is it in alignment with how you feel like your life is supposed to go? Because there's a certain feeling and unction that's leading us towards what our life should be. And we are bucking against it, rebelling against it, and allowing other people to do the same. So if you're seeing it, it's because it's time for you to truly focus on bringing your heart under submission, because you don't want to suffer anymore. So that heart needs to be healed and cleansed from all of the stuff that you've been holding. And it's not that you are denying everything that is pleasurable, because pleasure is of the spirit first before it's of the natural. So what we experience in the natural as pleasure is because the spirit realm created pleasure. What is the balance? Temperance, self-control. So you're bringing all of your pieces together. You're bringing all of your pieces together. You are resurrecting. That means that there had to be some dying to self. There had to be some moments where you felt like, you know what, I don't want to face this, but I got to anyway. Moments where you're being faced with things that make you feel like, man, this has got to be the worst situation of my life, when in actuality, it's the greatest learning experience of your life. Take it in and do what you need to do to align. All right, y'all. I went over the time that I want to kind of be here on the podcast, but again, y'all know I'm going to flow the way I need to. But that's your prophetic word for today. For those of you who needed it, you are not alone in the process. It's going to feel lonely sometimes because it is a personal, unique experience. Your perspective is not going to be the same as other people's, and you can't be mad at them because they don't see it your way. But you have to be determined in the way that you are going, so that despite what other people may feel, you're able to stand up against the wiles of the enemy that's telling you you can't and you won't. All right. Awesome. Well, many blessings to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us here on the Love Walk Approach. I am your host, Apostle Shalonda Treasure, and I am delighted to be here. I'm going back into my cave for a little bit today. I need to reflect and refresh. But what I do pray is that you will continue to come back, and not just come back, but invite others to join you during this time. Make it something that you put on your calendar to say that, hey, I want to show up here because it's something that I know that I'm going to gain today that I didn't have before today. If you find it in your heart, please become a Love Walk Vision partner with us, that we can go ahead and start resurrecting this vision in a greater way. If you want us to come to your city, your state, your country, please contact our administrator at theinspirationaltreasure.com. And we know that the inspirational doesn't have an I in the front. So contact us and set it up so we can know what we need to do to make ourselves prepared for that. All right. Many blessings to each and every one of you. See you back here on next Sunday. We may be live on Thursday for Love Walk and Chat, but definitely go ahead and click that notification once next week's live event is showing on YouTube, so you can go ahead and share it throughout the week so people can join us here. All right. Talk to you soon. Many blessings.